It's happening. Oh my god. I'm finally doing it. Yay. Progress. It's a thing now. Alright. So we're finally closing out the original Power Rangers Mighty Morphin Season 3. What I consider to be the best season of Mighty Morphin. It does mainly because it does a lot of things that the first two seasons didn't do. And when I say a lot of things, I mean a consistent story, for one thing, a actual finale to things, and a decent way to send a character off. Something that Season 1 and Season 2 didn't do really well at all. Season 1 more so than Season 2. Season 2 just felt like a bunch of science fiction stories thrown together. Like 4 or 5 episodes of Twilight Zone Zoo Ranger costumes or something. So, I don't need to do any card or key thing today. Yay. So Season 3 starts off with this guy. Let's just not even go there, okay? For most of you, this is Kamen Rider Black RX. The last of the, sorry if I get the era wrong, Heshe era? I don't know how they name Kamen Rider eras. This was the last of the first era of Kamen Riders. Let me just put it that way. So why am I talking about Black RX here? Well, Season 3 started off, he's got dust on him. Season 3 started off with an attempt to bring Kamen Rider over to the US. For some reason, let's try to get people in love with Kamen Rider here in America also by starting off with the last season that they did. Because after this season, which I think finished or aired in '88, the next Kamen Rider season didn't start until 2000. So this was kind of a bad idea. After this, I think they went to Metal Heroes. We got some Metal Heroes over here. VR Troopers, which we don't talk about that show. It was terrible. Everything about it was terrible. It was fusing 3 Metal Hero shows together. And that alone sounded like a bad idea. And then Big Bad Beetleborgs, which was basically B-Fighter, and then Metallics was based off of B-Fighter Kabuto. 2 completely different shows. But they made them like one right after. Kind of like Mighty Morphin into Zeo type of thing, where they got stronger. So, seems like every Toku show that Toei owns, that's a band gets their hands on, doesn't do as well as Power Rangers. So, they adapted this into Mask Rider, and that's why I have this. The show itself wasn't that good. For some reason, they used this as a way to promote Mask Rider by doing a 3-parter to start the season in which Zed gets butthurt over the enemy. I have a thing of him up there, but I'm not going to go get him. And they go to the planet where Alpha was built, apparently, and they fight him because misunderstanding, and then they team up, and then they blow stuff. I don't know. I didn't watch it when I rewatched this because I knew how pointless it was, and I have no intention of ever watching Master Rider again. Maybe if I get around to watching Black RX and I like it as much as everybody claims it to be. That doesn't even make sense. A lot of people consider this one of the best, if not the best, Rider show next to W or Double. I need to get the Kamen Rider. I will when I get done with Sentai. This one's on my list to watch, and so is Double, because I have people stop telling me how good Double is. I might rewatch it after I get done with Black RX, but until then, you go away. You stink in America, anyway. So it's just a 3-part promotion for Master Rider, and yeah, who cares? It didn't do anything for anything. It was completely forgot about through the rest of Season 3, and it was completely forgot about in Master Rider. So who cares? Season 3 actually starts off with a 3-parter called Ninja Quest. First thing that happens, Rito Probably my favorite villain in Mighty Morphin just because he's such a smart aleck. He's Rita's younger brother. He's a Kaku Ranger villain. He's a skeleton with an army hat, and half of him is camo, and the rest of him is not. I just like him because of his voice. He's kind of got like a smug Brooklyn accent, and he's a real smart aleck. He keeps calling Zed Ed. I don't know if he's stupid or if he's just trying to be a tool. But either way, he makes me laugh. Like, he really does. He was like the one villain in Mighty Morphin that every time he said, I look forward to every time he opened his mouth because he always said something stupid. So he comes in with these eggs things. He plants them on the moon before he enters their castle, and Zed tells him to go down and fight the Rangers, which he does. He goes down and beats the Megazords. Not only beating the Megazords, Tiger Zord and the Thunder Megazord fly to pieces, as in they blow up and they're gone and their powers are gone. Oh, okay, so duh? What do? Everything's gone now. Even the command center's wrecked. Zordon tells them that they know the person who supposedly made the coins. His name is Ninjor. He is a person in a desert somewhere. One thing about Mighty Morphin, I think I said this last review, whenever the heck I made the season 2 one, was that Mighty Morphin has this thing of one-off weapons places. And this is one of those one-off places type thing where the name just sounds forced and made up. Because it kind of was. I don't even remember the name of it. He gives them a map to go hunt his cavern down or whatever. And they go into the desert while they get chased down by the Tango Warriors, which are the hatched from the eggs that Rito brought. So we don't have the putties anymore, or Z putties. They're gone. American-made goons now, and they're big crow raven things. And they're called the Tango Warriors. And they have this really catchy song that Wasserman made for them. It's called Tanga Bye Bye. If you've watched Mighty Morphin Season 3, you probably heard it. Like, every time the Tango Warriors show up, they fight them. Oh, they play the song. The actual song itself isn't bad. That's one thing I'll admit about Mighty Morphin. As cheesy as Mighty Morphin can be at times, it's probably got the best soundtrack of any Power Ranger season, or seasons, if you want me to be specific with it. So, they end up finding this guy's cavern, and they go inside, and he's living inside of a bottle. I'm expecting him to be voiced by Robin Williams now. No, he sounds derpy. I use the word derpy a lot because that Ballistamon figure up there is adorable. You know how much I love that Ballistamon figure. He doesn't give them the powers that they seek because he's a douchebag. Alright. He's going to be one of those characters, huh? He's like, no. Alright. So they basically say, well, what are we going to do now? I don't have any powers. Well, let's just go do what we have to do and fight until we can't fight anymore. And Ninja was like, ha! A+ on test. You get powers. It was a test of loyalty and goodness and whatever. So he gives them the ninja coins, making them as swift and powerful as a ninja. That was a terrible ninja impression. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You didn't deserve to listen to that at all. Even I admit that was terrible. I've done it better than that before. So they get these spiffy things. The ninja forms. Oh my god, their faces are on the cover. That's a first and only. I doubt we're going to get any more like that. They're basically... I'm assuming they were going for Kaku Ranger stuff, because Season 3 does take footage from Kaku Ranger. More so near the end of the season. You'll know what I mean when I get there. So, Kaku Ranger, if you don't know anything about Sentai, is a ninja-themed Sentai. And the Zords and everything are from Kaku Ranger. Rito is from Kaku Ranger. Master Vile, when I get to him, are from Kaku Ranger. Something else is from Kaku Ranger, and I'll show them off in a little bit too. So they get brand new power coins. Rocky gets the ape. I'm holding him up here. Kim gets the crane, because that makes sense. Adam gets the frog. Hee hee. Billy gets a wolf. Aisha gets a bear, I think it was. A bear? Yeah, it was a bear. And Tommy gets a falcon. And which is funny because the Falcon Zord's counterpart in Kaku Ranger was a sentient being. Actually, I think they're all sentient beings, but it piloted itself. Let's go with that. So they make the Ninja Megazord, and they put the Falcon on it. It's the Ninja Falcon Zord, and they kick the crap out of Rito. It was actually probably the best start to a season, aside from Zed's introduction. I think Season 2's intro might be the strongest introduction to a Mighty Morphin season, just because Zed established himself in that, 2-3-parter? It was a real fun one to watch at that. This wasn't too bad either, because it set the new status quo for what Mighty Morphin was going into pretty well. We got Ninjor, who was kind of an ally. He showed up and fought when he had to, and then disappeared when he didn't need to be there. He's weird. He's kind of a nut in terms of talking. And he's a pretty good fighter in his own right. So, with that, the end of Ninja Quest, which is a 4-parter actually, ends at episode 7. Nothing happens until 17. So we do get Mighty Morphin Season 1 syndrome here of nothing happening for way too long. It's gonna get worse. But once we get to the next story arc, it's basically Ross' story from here on out. We get to, I'm looking at the episode guide on this thing, deal with it. We get introduced to this white cat. It's going there, guys. It's going there. Suddenly, PETA. Nah. We get introduced to this white cat, who is actually a person in disguise. It's Akiba Yellow. Plot twist of the century, because she dresses up as a cat. I need to finish Akiba Ranger. I really do. I was enjoying it way too much, and I just randomly stopped. Apparently she's a tool by Rita. A lady, girl, person, man thing that Rita hypnotized to try to lure Tommy and trap him. Which they kind of did. They got Tommy to go to the place that they are. I keep forgetting to call it a castle. And he ends up beating the crap out of Goldar and Rito. But this whole 2-parter only really introduces Kat and what she's about. And the rest of it's not really important to anything. After that, we have a 3-parter, which is really interesting. Basically what happens is that Falcon Zord gets kidnapped, Pink Power Coin gets kidnapped, all by Cat, because apparently Finster, I keep getting Finster and the guy from Lightspeed's names mixed up. Finster is the one from Mighty Morphin. Jinxter is the one from Lightspeed, yeah. I keep getting those two's names mixed up for some reason. They basically do the exact same thing when you think about it. Finster found three Shogun Zords. All the Shogun Zords. And he was saying, well, we can take these and fuel them ourselves, but we need an energy source. So Rita gets Kat to take one of the power coins, and she takes Kimberly's because she slowly starts to fall for Tommy, and she tries to get at Kimberly. Once her coin gets taken, though, Kim's powers start to, leave. She starts to get weak, and it becomes problems for her to sustain her powers, and it literally starts to slowly kill her if you want to get realistic. Realistic. Yeah. So while they're fighting another monster, Kat comes in and takes the Falcon Zord from Tommy, while Kimberly gets kidnapped after fighting a monster. Well, this thing, they're losing things left and right, guys. Way to go. I'm looking at their faces on the DVD, but you guys are doing a good job of losing crap. Actually, this is why season 3 is my favorite season, because starting with this arc all the way to the end, it's just one big overlapping story. Well, starting from Changing of the Zords, which is the 3-part I'm talking about now, all the way through the end of A Different Shade of Pink, it's a really solid string of episodes. It's a good, 7 episodes? Most consistent story we've had since the losing of the Green Ranger powers at the beginning of season 2. So, Zed issues a bargain. Oh, they also kidnapped Ninjor. I think I mentioned that. They needed Ninjor as, like, a way to activate the powers to use the Zords. So, Zed makes a bargain. He contacts them and says, teleport me to the command center, and we will talk terms. They agree on it, and Alpha teleports Zed to the command center. This freaked me out. Just seeing everything shake and the lights go dim, and then you see him in his chair turn around in the command center. It was legitimately chilling, disturbing, creepy, all at the same time. One of the few times Mighty Morphin actually did something very, very dark-ish like this, where Zed would just sit there in his chair taunting him, and Zordon would be like, I'm getting sick of your crap, Zed. Because Zed was basically being a smart aleck the entire time, and Zordon was like, okay, come on. He makes a bargain of, you control my Shogun Zords, and I will give you Kimberly back. Okay. So, they think it's a good idea for Tommy to go up there and free her, which he does. He goes up there to their castle, and while he's in the process of trying to free her, he gets confronted by Zed. And we have the only time Zed ever fights a ranger up front, and Tommy basically gets his bell rung. Like, he's just getting curb stomped. And we've heard Zed was powerful. We knew he was strong. But this is the first time we've actually seen how strong he was. He was fighting basically the strongest of the Rangers one-on-one, and he was having no problems whatsoever. Kind of reminds me a bit of the first time they ran into a Ecliptor in space. Like, they just had no chance whatsoever. Tommy didn't have a prayer. He does end up breaking his staff, and it causes Zed to retreat, which I think Tommy got lucky there, because it would have ended bad for him if they had kept going. He manages to get Kimberly out of there, and Billy, being the techno genius he is, and this goes off of the whole him fixing the computers during the Green Ranger arc in season 1, where he just knows how to work this stuff. He ends up hacking into him and gains control over the Shogun Zords, and they use him against him. But Zed still has Kimberly's Crane Coin, the Falcon Zord, and Ninjor. Oh, well, poop. Rescue mission time. So now, it's time for us to lose another Ranger. Time for terrible voice actors and off-screen shots, reused footage, and a really subpar send-off. Like what happened the first time. So apparently we all know Kimberly's a gymnastics girl. Apparently this big, like, all-star coach finds her and says, "You're good. I want to train you for the Pan-Global Games," which, let's just call it the Olympics. Screw it. It sounds like the Olympics, doesn't it? So basically this guy is wanting to train her up so she can be a member of the U.S. gymnastics team on the Olympics team, whatever. Yay? I mean, this is what Kim's training for her whole life, right? Well, Rita wants to be a douchebag, going back to her old season 1 logic, and just tries to screw Kim over, sending wave after wave of monsters all around town, breaking her away from her practices and all this stuff. After being pulled away from training and stuff, she comes back to the juice bar like late at night, midnight-ish or something, to practice on her own, but she's worn out, tired, beaten up. And at this point, Kat is really feeling bad about this, questioning what she's doing. She kind of did this near the end of the last three-parter. We do get some flashbacks of her being in the same situation as Kimberly was, where she was in the Olympics as a diver, and she had an accident on her jump that would have won her team the gold. And she doesn't want Kimberly to go through the same thing of her blowing her chance. So now she goes to tell Kim and help her and prevent her from hurting herself, and when she gets in there, Kim falls off the balance beam and hurts herself. Kat calls the ambulance and tells them to come get Kimberly. She goes to the hospital with them, and she opens up to Kim, telling them that I was controlled by Rita. I'm the one that stole the coin. I'm the one that stole the Falcon Zord. I'm the cause of all this shenanigans. The other Rangers come in and accept her because of what happened to Tommy, that being mind controlled by Rita is apparently a fad now in Mighty Morphin. So Rita wants her kitty back. Basically what's going on here. Cat fight. It's a cat fight. They fight over a cat. Cat fight. Cat fight. Cat fight. They want their cat back. They said, give us Cat and we will give you Ninjor back. Well, it's time to screw each other over. They put a shield over Cat, and Rita gives them an empty jug with no Ninjor in it. But they do manage to get Cat back anyway. Yay. So Cat somehow escapes her jail cell by tricking Rito into going to sleep, because Rito's a derp like that. She gets the power coin back, and they teleport him back to the command center after I'm trying to say something here. After sensing, there we go. I was about to say realize and feeling. I was like seal-leasing. That's not even a word. After sensing that someone with a good heart had the coin, they teleport her back, and Kim was saying that she doesn't want to leave because she doesn't want to lose her ranger duties and, her team. Zordon told her, I never intended to take you away from your personal lives. And they all talk her into going, so she gives her powers to Kat. Wait a minute, I lied. This wasn't a terrible send-off with crappy voice actors and everything. This was actually a legitimate send-off. They actually did this really well. An entire 3-part story arc that was actually pretty intense and was very well written. And it started from at the beginning of that other 3-part where they found the Shogun Zords. It was basically a 7-part send-off for Kimberly. Well, even longer than that because of the 2-part that Kat was introduced in. So this was a very, very good send-off that they did for her. Why the heck? Man, now Jason, Zach, and Kimberly, Trini's send-off is really looking bad. Oh, and you thought that send-off was bad? Wait till Turbo. Turbo was a definition of disappointing send-offs and a lot of other crap. That was just one of Turbo's problems. I'll get to Turbo. I don't want to get to Turbo, but we're going to have to get to Turbo. I don't want to talk about Turbo. Someone help me. So now we have a new Pink Ranger. Well, this is something that didn't happen with Rocky, Adam, and Aisha, because as we saw, they were established martial artists. Kat's a swimmer and a ballet dancer. She can't fight at all. And they made this evident in her first couple episodes where she was just kind of flopping around Ziggy style. Just not even really fighting, just flailing around and slapping Tangas across the face instead of actually punching them. But then they just kind of wrote it off. Oh, joys. Nothing happens, nothing happens, nothing happens. Okay. Rita has a father, obviously. We get introduced to Master Vile here, which is basically... I think Master Vile is supposed to be the main villain of Kaku Ranger. I don't know what his name is in Kaku Ranger, but he's the same person. He's Rita and Rito's father, and Zed doesn't like this guy. As he just comes in, takes over his crap, insults Zed for sucking, all this pizzazz, and he has success where Zed didn't. Zed hates him for it. So this entire arc is pretty funny, just to see Zed get all butt mad at somebody. So when he gets introduced, he establishes that he's looking for this thing called the Zeo Crystal. One-off weapon, one-off locations, one-off whatever. There we go again. Zordon knows this and tells him that the Zeo Crystal was this thing that was put in a cave under the castle where Zed and Rita is located that can only be accessed by someone with a pure heart. Okay. So while Tommy and Kimberly go, Kat, I'm still used to saying Kimberly. Well, Tommy and Kat go after the thing. Vile shoots out this blue glob monster, which is actually really freaking tough because it captures Ninjor. After Ninjor gets free because Rito dropped the vase, whatever kind of person you are, vase that he was located in, that he was held in, and aborted mission. So now the glob monster kidnapped him and kind of tied them directly to each other. So now every time the glob monster gets hurt, so does Ninjor. Oh man, it's gonna be one of these fights. Kind of happens again in Wild Force. So while that's debacle is going on, Tommy and Kat are on the evil castle place on the moon, trying to find the crystal. Kat distracts Zed and Rita by saying, "I want to come back. I'm evil again." And they test it by putting her in this machine that makes her evil. There's always a catch every freaking time. Ooh, I want a vacation to the Bahamas. I'm not giving you my credit card number. Same idea. You get screwed either way. So Tommy goes down to the cave, getting caught up by a bunch of distractions, hallucinations. He almost fought the Green Ranger again. So he comes across the crystal. So he reaches in to grab it, and the shield starts to judge him, slowly hurting him because of the Green Ranger fiasco. And then as the thoughts and stuff move on, they show that he was good and he proved himself, and they give him the crystal. Vile somehow takes it back from him after beating the Rangers and throws a party in the juice bar, which looks terrible. It's just stupid. Good almighty Morphin. You're about to take over the world, beating the Power Rangers. Let's go hijack some random juice bar in a city and throw a Monster Mash in there. That's basically what it was. Monster Mash MMPR style. It was actually kind of cringeworthy. As good as this season has been, that was like the worst thing that happened in the entire season. Oh my gosh. I haven't established the metallic armor yet because it's completely pointless. The metallic armor is basically Twilight Rangers because they sparkle. Oh, glitter me. It's basically what it was. So they managed to rev up their powers. Ninjor grows, Vile grows, everybody grows. They blow up the monster. They kick Vile's butt. Ha! They got everything back. The Falcon Zord is back. Everything is back. We're good. Now it's time to kick Vile to the curb. Well, not really. Vile wants to pull a failed Zed plan and reverse the world, making the Rangers kids again. Even though Zed acknowledged that he already done this once before, but the Rangers remember everything after they do it this time. They fail to stop the world from turning backwards, and they get reverted back to kids. So now what? They can't morph. They really can't teleport to the command center anymore. So they chug there on foot, and when they get there, they realize they need help, obviously, because they're all kids. So, what do? How are they going to get help? I mean, they don't have powers. They can't activate the Megazords without their powers. What are you going to do? How are they going to fight back? Aliens. 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 Oh, look, Kaku Ranger. We actually got... I bet you the Die Ranger fans are mad now. Because we only got one Die Ranger, but we got all the Kaku Rangers. These are the Alien Rangers from Aquitar, a water planet. Apparently they're like fish, because they need water to survive and keep themselves stable and whatnot. Their voices have some really weird effect over them that make them sound like they're drowning. I wonder if that was the point. So they come here with their own Zords called the Battleborgs, which look like the Shogun Zords, but with less armor on them or something. And they control them through, like, telekinesis or something, because they just stand there flailing their arms around on the ground and things respond to their motions. It's really strange. I wonder if this is because they didn't want to use like cockpit footage or something, because it would have conflicted with the cockpit that they already established in some of their Megazords and whatnot. I don't know. So what's the point of the whole Alien Rangers arc, actually? Some people consider this a separate season. I consider it the finale to Season 3. Screw you people that think... I guess they don't like being considered a part of... I guess they wanted their own season because they just aborted mission on me. Yeah, this is okay. It's a part of Season 3. Deal with it. It's the finale to Season 3. Yeah, just admit it and shut up. Honestly, this arc is really awkward because it has nothing to do with the aliens themselves. It mostly has to do with leading into Zeo more than anything else. The Alien Ranger arc is basically just setting things up for Zeo. How do we do this? Well, now we have to establish a reason to hunt down the Zeo crystal, which I forgot to establish that once they got it back from Master Vile, they split it apart and sent it through a wormhole. So now they got to get it back. Why? Because after Billy created a device that would age them back, using the power coins, Goldar took it, destroyed the machine, Zed and Rita destroyed the power coins. Great. So now we have a reason to go hunt these things down. Zordon opens a portal and sends them to the time period where they have their respective crystal. And they have to overcome some kind of like moral thing or whatever to get the crystal. They all do that except for Aisha, which this is just terrible. Especially after what we had just done with Kimberly. Apparently, she meets this girl called Tanya, who's like an ancestor or something. I don't know. They never established, but Tanya tells her that though they've got animals here that have like illnesses and stuff, and we can't find a cure or anything. Well, I was like, I'm been working in an animal shelter. I should be able to help. How? I mean, animal shelter is like dogs and cats and stuff like that. These are probably lions and rhinos and zebras and stuff. Okay. And it brings up the question as to why they did this in the first place. I never heard of any like actor issues or discrepancies or anything like that involving Aisha's actress, just like what happened with Jason, Zach, and Trini. There was a disagreement here. What was the reason for her leaving this? I haven't seen or read anything as to why she left. But okay. So now we have a new Yellow Ranger? Kind of. She never puts on the Yellow Ranger suit, but she does become a Yellow Ranger. So while the aliens blow up Hydro Hog, which is basically their equivalent of Rita and Zed, they come back. Goldar and Rito plant the bomb under the command center, which they've been trying to do this entire Alien Ranger arc. They were sent there at the very beginning to plant a bomb and destroy the command center, and they do it 10 episodes later. They blow up the command center and take the Zeo crystal. It's really disturbing seeing the command center explode like that with Alpha screaming and just, ew. Real creepy stuff. Billy gets shocked or something. That'll be relevant later. And the command center blows up and the Rangers are dumbfounded as to what happened and what to do. Happy endings. Gotta love them. So obviously this was the only MMPR season to end with an actual finale. Even if it wasn't nearly as good as the other Saban season finales, because Space, Lightspeed, Galaxy, Time Force all had great endings. Turbo's ending was pretty good. Wild Force's ending was alright. But, well, I mean, like I said, it wasn't really a finale to tie up Mighty Morphin, but more of a lead-in and setting up for Zeo. But it worked. It set up Zeo fairly well, establishing the Zeo crystals early and then doing a whole little arc on them getting them. Notice that Billy doesn't have one, which will lead into that later when I talk about Zeo next time. But honestly, Season 3 is my favorite MMPR season because it has a solid story, a consistent story, not just like a bunch of random weird two-parters that make no sense like in Season 2, well, after the White Ranger was introduced. In Season 1, where it seemed like they were just getting their footing, this season felt like a season with stability and everything. Had a great story arc sending off Kimberly. Zed and Rita actually pulling off victories. Not interesting plans that always backfire, but actual plans that work for the most part. And it was just exciting to watch compared to the first two seasons. We don't really get any character development here either because Rocky, Adam, and Aisha are just that boring of characters. They're not Zach, Trini, or Jason. Actually, those characters developed some, but those characters also had personalities, and you knew who they were. They all feel the same. That's one thing. As much as I like Season 3, it just wasn't the same ever since the original guys left. We only have Billy and Tommy now. And as awesome as Tommy is, he never had a solid personality. He's Aqua Ranger. He's the Power Rangers Aqua Ranger. We get that. That's what he is. whether you think Tommy is an overrated Ranger or not, he is the Aqua Ranger of Power Rangers, so he's going to get love. He's going to come back. He's going to be the face of Power Rangers. I mean, just look at the Super Mega Force Legend War thing. He is the one standing in front of all of the Rangers. Even though Gosei Red did that in the Sentai War. Gosei Red is leader of Sentai. I'm not okay with this. I've seen one episode of Ghost Sager and I'm already not okay with that. I don't want to watch Ghost Sager, but I'm going to at some point. The Alien Ranger arc was odd. Like I said, it was mostly to establish Zeo, and I think an excuse to use footage of the Kaku Rangers themselves. But the aliens themselves were interesting because when they were out of uniform, they were very technical. They had like these weird. That was what they did. They talked very technical. They were very smart. They did things business. And then when they morphed into the Alien Ranger forms, then they became trolls or something. Because there was this one episode where they were at a water park, and like beforehand they were all, "We shall help you, Zoldan." Like stuff like that, just being all business. And then no, they're sitting in a water park fighting this monster wearing the Hawaiian flower necklaces and with coconut drinks, sitting on um, beach chairs, insulting the monster. And it felt like out of uniform they were business, in uniform they were a bunch of douchebags. So they were like really inconsistent with how their personalities were. But they didn't really, they weren't, they just didn't feel like they had any real importance. They just added the action quota of the episodes while they were setting up Zeo. That's what they were here for mostly. But Delphine is the leader, which is Alien White, and Orko will see him again because he's red. The other three, who cares? Actually, Blue here. I don't know his name, but he's actually the Billy of the Alien Rangers. Him and Billy work on a lot of equipment and stuff, and we'll end up seeing him pop up again in Zeo when he asks Billy for technical support. So him and Billy, I forgot Alien Blue's name, I'm sorry, but oh, I think I'll be able to pull it up here. But they had like a connection of just being, here we go, Sestro. Him. They had like a connection of being the geniuses of the two groups, and they often came to each other for aid and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. What else can I say about Mighty Morphin? I know Mighty Morphin is probably one of the more overrated Power Ranger seasons ever, next to RPM. I haven't bashed Overdrive yet in this season, in this review. I'm sorry, guys. I kind of promised myself I'd insult Overdrive at least once in every review. They had more personality than the Overdrive Rangers. Boom! Sorry, I know that one was kind of forced, but I kind of... They have the same amount of personality, but these guys didn't annoy me. Alien Rangers are better characters than the Overdrive Rangers. I'm not even joking when I say that. I am not joking when I say that either. So there's my Overdrive insult for the review. Yeah, Mighty Morphin might be overrated. Might be. It actually kind of is. I mean, when it's the first era, season, group of anything, it's going to get more love than it should. Like, I bet you in Japan, Go Ranger has a lot of fans just because it's Go Ranger. I mean, look at all the Gen 1ers in Pokemon. Don't get me started on them, but I'm just using them as an example. They're terrible people. I'm not afraid to say it. They're bad people. And then you got Mighty Morphin fanboys. You've got Digimon Adventure fanboys. But I've already established my reason for liking Adventure the most. My excuse isn't because it's the first, but then you've got like there's every fan base has people who prefer the original over all the others. And I get that. It's the one you've got the most ties to, and if it wasn't for the first season, then you wouldn't like the rest of them and whatnot. I get that, and I'm a part of that group. Mighty Morphin is why I'm a Power Rangers fan, why I'm a Toku fan, and all that stuff. Why I got Shinken Red and Black Condor's figure arts back there because of Mighty Morphin. The Ranger keys there because of Mighty Morphin. The imported Shinkano that you could get from Toys R Us. I got it sitting over there. You can see it. And the Legacy Dino Megazord. All because of Mighty Morphin. Cards. because of Mighty Morphin. Legacy lets Mighty Morphin anyway, so. All that stuff is because of Mighty Morphin. I'm a Toku fan because of Mighty Morphin. Even you Sentai purists have to admit, most of you wouldn't know what the heck a Super Sentai or Kamen Rider was if it wasn't for Mighty Morphin, more than likely. So, yes, Mighty Morphin as a season, as a show, is overrated, but the love it gets isn't undeserved. Like, it's the reason why most of us, especially here in America, are fans of Toku, Sentai, Power Rangers, Kamen Rider, Ultraman, some of those other Toku shows that I don't know the names of. All of that. Most of us are fans of that because of Mighty Morphin. And I know a lot of people just despise Mighty Morphin because it's overrated, it's overhyped, there's so much stuff made for it, people love it too much. Like I said, I bet you people in Japan think the same about Go Ranger and Kamen Rider Ichigo. Now, granted, who knows? Go Ranger might be freaking fantastic, for all I know. Same with Kamen Rider Ichigo. It might be freaking fantastic. But more than likely it's not, because first attempts, for the most part, aren't usually the best. And Mighty Morphin is one of those cases. It's not the best, but it's still lovable. And it's got that charm about it that you can't hate. So, that's why Mighty Morphin isn't my favorite season by any means. It's space. Everybody knows this. Everybody that's watched my videos on Power Rangers knows space is my favorite season. But I will collect Mighty Morphin stuff just as much as I will space stuff. Which isn't saying anything because they don't make anything for in space. That's one thing I don't like about this 20th anniversary. Everything is Mighty Morphin. I know, I get it, Mighty Morphin. Fine, I know. I want stuff for other seasons too. Especially space stuff. When the space keys come out, I am going to hump the box in Target. Oh boy. I can actually picture me doing that. I'm not even joking. I love in space to death, though. But I collect Mighty Morphin stuff because I don't love Mighty Morphin to death, but it's important to me being in this fandom. I'm expressing it. That's just why. I mean, Dino Megazord or Daijujin or whatever you want to call it is my favorite designed Megazord. The Zoo Ranger / Mighty Morphin costumes are my favorite designed costumes. Green Ranger, Dragon Ranger is my favorite designed individual Ranger costume. That is not because of Mighty Morphin. That's another reason why I collect the stuff. I love the designs of everything Zoo Ranger, Mighty Morphin related. But Mighty Morphin in its own right it's one of the more important Toku shows next to Ichigo and Go Ranger because of what it established all that stuff here in Europe too, maybe. I think they get Power Rangers over there. And here in America. Whether you hate it or not, its importance is there. Its relevance is there. And you can't deny that Mighty Morphin played a very significant role in the genre. And for that, I love you, Mighty Morphin. So you can't deny it. So we are finally done with the group that started everything. Mighty Morphin is done. The command center is blown up. The power coins are gone. What now? Stronger than before? Nah. Nah, I'm sorry. We'll talk about Zeo next, but its theme song, as amazing as Zeo's theme is, it lies. It lies.